She's one of the hottest radio personalities in the country, unafraid to ask the tough questions, informed, engaged, and in touch with what's happening in your neighborhood, across the country, and around the world. Frankie has a big mouth with big name guests, big topics, big ideas, and solutions. Now, here's your host, Frankie Darcell.
And welcome back to Frankie Has a Big Mouth. Let me just say this. The podcast is growing immensely. And I thank you guys so much for checking out. This is a brand new world for me on the internet. You know, I've been doing radio for a very long time, but y'all have fallen in love with the show. And I love that you love it. And let me just say this. My guests are calling me saying, Frankie, can I get on? But there's some people I had to get on first. So I am so excited that you're listening on the iHeartRadio network app, of course, Real Times Media, and the Black Information Network, and some of the baddest newspapers across the country. I am so excited to have the Honorable Judge Lauren Lake on the show.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here.
Listen, I am so excited. First of all, you've got so much going on. I'm going to get as much as I can in this next 28 minutes and 45 seconds. First of all, Motor City, hello. Say hello to your very own Lauren Lake. Lauren, say hello to everybody in Motor City.
Detroit in the house, born and raised and schooled.
Listen, so University of Michigan, Wayne State Law School, talk about that. And you talk so passionately about your journey to law school.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up on the west side of Detroit, 7 Mile and Outer Drive. My father attended the University of Michigan and graduated in 1960. He was born in Ann Arbor. So wow. I grew up a big Michigan kid. We always went to the games. I was maize and blue, I think, before I even came out of the womb.
Right.
And so after my brother went to Michigan State,
That was interesting rivalry during football season.
Well, I went and followed in my father's footsteps and went to Michigan, and big Go Blue. I was there. I worked as a singer and booster under Bo Schembechler, big part of the program. I love the school. And after that, I said to myself, I'm ready to go out and pursue a life of entertainment. I want to be a singer. I want to be, on stage. I love Broadway and musicals. And my parents, both PhD educators in Detroit, said to me, well, honey, before you go out doing that, we suggest you get some type of postgraduate degree. And what do you want to do after you go to undergrad? Ended up going to law school at Wayne State. And it was fascinating because I went at first because I was trying to figure out how to use my gifts, right? I really didn't know. I started off, believe it or not, studying to be an anesthesiologist. I wanted to go to medical school. But once I decided, you know what, I really want to go for this career in entertainment, law school seemed like a great segue because I was able to use my gift of gab, right? My ability to tell stories. I used to tell them through song, but I can tell them verbally. And it seemed like a good fit. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I did. And in that process, fell in love with this art of advocating for others, right? For being a voice for the voiceless, for being able to tell a story for someone who couldn't tell that story for themselves, right? And be able to get that person a second chance. I was a criminal defense attorney. That's how I started. And it became a passion of mine. So after I graduated from law school, I did take a brief few years to run out to LA and do some background singing.
Yeah.
You'll get to all that. I used to sing for Dre and Snoop and all of that with Death Row Records, honey. And
girl, listen, we're gonna talk about that because when I read you're talking Puffy and Mary J. Blige and I'm like, girlfriend's got chops, obviously. Not like I'm gonna ask you to sing right now, but you never know what might happen on this show. Okay?
I live a limitless life. You hear me? I live a limitless life. But after law school, I did do that. We can get into that later. But then ultimately came back, took the bar exam, and practiced law in Detroit at the Overquarters Court.
Wow.
Yes, the late and great Dalton Roberson was the chief justice of that court. Yes. And I honed my skills there with mentors who, like Judge Mathis, believe it or not, that's how old I am. Greg is in law. when
Wow.
I was a young lawyer, and he was a great mentor. And I did that for many years. And so Detroit is my home. It always say it's my launching pad.
Mm-hmm.
And it still very much is my landing pad. I was just in Detroit helping my dear friend Portia Robertson, who was running for Congress. And I love the city. It is, there's no city like it. And the people in Detroit are special people. We have a vibe.
Yeah. And wear it on the sleeve. Listen, so you at some point went to New York.
I did.
Because entertainment was going to be your thing. Talk about that experience. And there you really networked with some big time folk and were right on the verge, girl, of being your own Beyonce. Okay.
Okay. I always tell people that, like, I was trying to be Beyonce, but I ended up just being me. Right.
All right. Which is a great person to be.
Yeah. I used to really think that I was going to just be pursuing singing on stage. As I told you, after law school, I worked briefly for Death Row Records, singing background for Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. I then went back and practiced law. While I was practicing law, I would travel back and forth from Atlanta and New York, singing different background gigs. I started producing albums. I started producing artists. I started a production company. And then I had an artist that was signed to Interscope Records through Rough Rider.
Wow.
That took me to New York. And so I began producing acts there in New York. And in the meantime, while I was producing acts, I was working as a background singer. I did background work on Jay-Z's first Blueprint album. I did background work for Puppy, like on Good Morning America, Mary J. Blige, the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Wow.
I had great experiences working with platinum artists. And it was the craziest thing that while I started producing this album for myself, at a showcase that I had about my album, a television producer was there. And they ended up talking to me about coming on TV on the Ricky Lake Show.
Yeah.
Playing my music, I would talk about the scenarios that led me to write this song. And they said, your thoughts on dating and relationships are so compelling. We want you to come on the Ricky Lake Show and talk about that. I ended up going on her show, and the rest is history. The second day after I went there, her executive producer, Michael Rourke, pulled me aside in his office. I thought I was in trouble. And he said, you're destined to have a career in television. And I was like, really? Because at that time, I'm a working singer and producer and lawyer. I was a lawyer as well. And he says, no, you're destined to have a career in television. And from that day, that had to be early 2000 or so, I have worked consistently in television ever since.
And so the Maury Povich show, you've done Maury, you've done
I did Maury before Paternity Court.
Well, I know. Listen, can you tell the sister watches a lot of TV and a lot of court TV shows and those relationship shows? People in their behavior, it's not what people do. I always say it's why they do what they do. And I'm so intrigued by court shows and just behaviors and what the law is. So I watch a lot. I watch the good shows. So I watch all of your shows.
Amen.
All right. Let's talk about your new show coming up in the fall. It is Lauren Lake at the helm of We the People. It's going to launch this fall. Talk about that show.
Yes, We the People with Judge Lauren Lake will premiere September 12th. So excited to be joining forces with the Allen Media Group. Byron Allen, as you know, is a force in entertainment. And once Paternity Court ended, he reached out to me with an idea for me to take over a show he already had in production called We the People. And I was excited to do that. I love going in the courtroom. I love helping people resolve issues in a courtroom, which I think then permeates to their lives, right? I always say, right? Like, legal resolution will lead to emotional evolution, right? A legal battle, whether it's a familial legal battle or even a small claim legal battle, you so stuck in that rut, you can't evolve out of it. And so I am so excited on We the People this year to be able to bring people into courtroom who are battling with legal issues that just won't leave them alone. And the truth is, by giving them my judgment and my resolution, hopefully will help them move forward and empower other people who watch court shows to understand the power in resolution. Even if it don't go your way, sometimes you got to understand it's done.
All right, so I have a couple of questions for you relative to that, and let me just get this one out of the way, because the promo on Paternity Court, you got 2 sisters pregnant. Okay, I did that. All right, I did that. That's just one. So on this new show, We the People, you're going to be talking about a litany of different issues, not just paternity.
I am going to be expanding my entire caseload. I'm going to be talking about small claims, family issues, things that everyday people, I mean, look, Paternity Court was an incredible niche. I could not love more helping people find their fathers, or at least get the truth, so they have the ability to move forward and figure out what to do next. Then I realized, as I talked, with the Allen Media Group and the executive producers, Patricia Wilson, she's phenomenal. There are so many people hanging on to these small claims that need that same kind of swift kick, that need to understand that at some point you have to go and enter a place where you are ready to resolve an issue, right? And that's why I love the name of this show, We the People, because it lends itself to this sense of community that I believe we all exist in, right? Whether we're Black, brown, white, whatever we all, our blood, our emotions, we all have loved and lost, been betrayed. We have all felt like we didn't get our fair share at some point. We have all felt like we've been done wrong. And most of us, have all had legal issues that we've needed to resolve in court, or figure out the tools to avoid court. I always say to people, if you really listen to the shows that I do, if you really listen to Paternity Court, if you really go into We the People and listen to what we're doing, my hope is not that you appear before me, but that you don't have to appear.
Right, that's right. Let me talk to you about a couple of things. One, when people watch a lot of these shows, they think it's all about theatrics. Talk about how authentic your show really is, and do they have to abide by your decision?
Well, this is what we do. At We the People, we are all about reenacting cases that have occurred. So the judgment that I'm giving is me looking at the facts of the case and deciding. And this is what I love about this, because this gives me an opportunity where I can follow the law of my courtroom, right? And look, we know We the People is a fictitious court. It's a television court. So I am not necessarily bound always to the law of the land. I'm bound to what is fair, sometimes what is morally right. And it allows me to impart more genuine legal and life lessons, right, to people so that they can avoid court. Remember, this is kind of my thing, which is, I don't want you coming to court. I want you to figure out what you need to do in your life to avoid it. So Paternity Court was, of course, real issues with real people and real babies, and needing to know the real answers to paternity. With We the People, we're able to expand that and include a lot more cases that are based upon real cases that have happened. And then we are able to give a ruling and a decision, and most importantly, give the lessons necessary to help and empower people. That's what we do there.
All right. Do you have an opportunity as well? One of the things, especially in communities of color, most of us don't experience. You talked about someone that we both know and adore, Portia Robeson, who's an incredible attorney as well. And right now, Focus Hope ran for the congressional seat recently. But is this an opportunity for you as well to tell people how to come to court? In many courtrooms across the country, Judge Greg Mathis, good friend of mine, and other judges that I know, talk about, Frankie, today in the courtroom. So a lot of people don't know how to come. How do you dress? How should you present yourself? Talk about that.
I love that you brought that up, because that is the beauty of court television, right? Yes, it is entertaining, but it is also empowering. It's also educational and informative, right? I am able to see, I don't know, just the other day, some people came and I was like, y'all ain't ready. I'm asking for this. I'm asking for this piece of evidence. I'm asking for this. Ain't nobody got what they supposed to have. You're not prepared for court. You just want to come in and ram and tell me a story, but you can't prove nothing. And I walked off, because people need to understand court is about being able to prove, right? Through evidence, through physical evidence, through factual testimony, what you claim to be your issue and the reason why you should be the person that walks away with winning this case. And I can't tell you how many people come to court like I'm a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Now, if you want to go to the psychologist, that's a different door. Right? We don't have couches and beds in here. When you stand at the podium, you are here to present a case. So yes, that is the beauty of it. I'm able to walk through and say, okay, you saying when she did this, she damaged the car. Well, where's the picture of it? Then you show some raggedy picture where you can't even see the damage. Well, how am I to assess what the damage is if you didn't have enough good sense to go get the picture that you need? Okay, you say you gave her $350. Do you have a receipt of that? Is that on your phone? Now, we got too many ways now. Don't tell me you gave it to her in cash, because you could Cash App it, Zelle. We got too much stuff now where you can prove your case. And so it's a great opportunity for me to help inform and empower people that when you do get your day in court, be ready. Be ready.
How should people, do you think that judges, not necessarily you, but do you think how a person presents in court because it should be the scales of justice are balanced, right? It's blind. But do you think, and can you recommend to people how you should and shouldn't dress? You shouldn't look like you just got off a pole. I'm just going to say.
Okay, just going to say. Let's just say that, right?
Right.
And look, we know, I always say to people, honey, we know church might be come as you are now. Now, when I grew up, you got dressed up for church. I understand now the new church, you come as you are. Court ain't church. Don't come as you are. Come as you want to be perceived.
Right.
Come as you want to be judged, right? When you walk through that doors, I don't have your papers organized. I don't want to, when I ask for something, it's like we're doing a magic act, right? I want to see a person who is organized, a person who appears to be ready for a day in court, who honors the fact that in this moment, they're going to be getting a judgment about something that will affect their lives and the lives of their family. I want to know that you care. I would often say on Paternity Court all the time, I am not running a circus. I'm running a courtroom. And that means behavior. And that means, the way you look and the way you act as well.
All right. So as we get ready to go, one, I want you to share with us anything you'd like to leave us with. Go.
Yeah.
No,
Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Well, I just want to say, please tune into We the People, premiering September 12th. Also follow me on social platforms at Judge Lauren Lake TV. And I want to encourage everyone. This is what I talk about most. Live your authentic, limitless life. I'm all about living a limitless life. Your mistakes do not have to define you. They can refine you, meaning there are limitless possibilities for you, whether you're stuck in a legal dilemma now. Your tomorrow can be brighter with a limitless mindset.
All right, tell people about your book, how they can get your book. Is it still out there? Is it still available? Honey, I know you've done it all. I'm going to try and get it all.
I have my book, girl, let me tell you, I wrote that years ago, but I have been inspired by everyone's they love the advice that I give. They want to know how I got it. I always tell people I speak from a place of perspective, not perfection, honey, because I have lived, loved, and lost and messed up. So I am going to be working on a new edition of Girl, Let Me Tell You, maybe in digital format. I'm thinking about whether I'm going to do a book or just digital. It's going to be coming up, and I'm so grateful for everybody's support.
Great. Thank you so much. Give your social media handles one more time.
Yes, at Judge Lauren Lake TV, all across platforms. If you don't have the TV on the end, you'll still find me at Judge Lauren Lake.
I love it. Judge Lake, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to meet you personally. I watch you all the time. Looking forward to We the People.
You are an icon. We all know who you are. I have listened to you for years. You are an icon. It's my pleasure.
Bless your heart. Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. Be well. I know that this new upcoming show, and I'm glad it's with the Allen Group as well. He is doing phenomenal things. Another Detroiter, just making it happen, and so excited. So we'll look forward to watching you, and I look forward to seeing you real soon.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. I'm Frankie Darcell. It is Frankie has a big mouth. I told you I'll have the big guest as well. We look forward as well to the upcoming shows with Judge Lake. And of course, you can follow me on social media as well. Check out all of the podcasts at the iHeartMedia podcast, along with Black Entertainment Network, Black Information Network, and Real Times Media. This was great. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Frankie Has a Big Mouth. Find us on the iHeartRadio app, the Black Information Network, Real Times Media, or wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next time for more compelling conversations.